It's fair to say that there is a Range Rover for pretty much everyone. The standard model is a great luxury car for business types. The hybrid model is clean and efficient, kinda, and the sport model is great fun to drive. But that got me to thinking, the only market they don't cater for is raving lunatics with huge amounts of cash and a death wish. Oh, should have seen that coming. You hear that noise? That is the sound of hatred. It's the sound of one of the most spiteful engines on the planet, cranked up to 11. That is the sound of a Land Rover engineer saying, do you know what? I'm a little bit bored today. Let's make a Range Rover that's on crack. Specifically speaking, Range Rover isn't actually responsible for this. They just gave the go-ahead. The real nutters are the people at its Special Vehicle Operations Division, SVO. He took the supercharged V8 from the ordinary Range Rover Sport and went at it with hammers until it produced 542 brake horsepower and 680 Newton meters of torque, as much as you get in a Jaguar F-Type. So performance is pretty stupid. 0 to 62 in 4.7 seconds. And it feels a lot quicker than that because it makes the sort of noise that can wake the dead and then kill them again. Top speed is 162 miles per hour. Not because it can't go any faster, but because Land Rover has limited it. Because nobody wants a car this big going that fast. It's got to be dangerous. Let's go back to the noise a second. That is the most mental thing about this car. Land Rover reckon it's more raucous than any Jaguar engine, including the F-Type. That's a bold claim, but the reality is it's true. When you start it up, it sounds like an animal. When you floor it, it sounds like an animal. When you lift off, it barks, you guessed it, like an animal. There is a button to make it quieter, but I don't think it really works. If you don't like noise, don't buy this car. Don't buy this car if you like aggression in general, as it features a host of tweaks that help it deliver extreme performance when compared to the standard car. The SVR features cross-linked four-corner air suspension, so it's reasonably comfortable over normal roads in the normal mode, but it firms up in dynamic mode to deliver better agility and almost no body roll. On top of that, you get torque vectoring by braking, which brakes the inside wheels in the middle of a corner to help the car turn in more sharply, as well as an active rear locking diff. The end result is a car that handles like it shouldn't. It might be the size of a house, but it handles like a sports car. Yeah, you've got some understeer, but for God's sake, it can lap the Nürburgring in 8 and a bit minutes. It's a proper weapon. If you like practicality, then definitely do consider this car. It's a Range Rover, and that means it's all the car you'll ever need. Sure, it's a raving lunatic under the skin, but above the surface, it's very difficult to tell this apart from the standard Sport. It's still big, it's still imposing, regal almost. But there are a few SVR-specific touches, including 2 huge air intakes at the front where the fog lights used to be. Next up, there are the brakes. The discs themselves haven't changed much, but they've been paired up with a set of new blue calipers that look the business, and the whole thing's wrapped in a new set of 21-inch alloys. Elsewhere, you'll find a huge new side vent to help the car breathe, and a few well-placed SVR badges. Inside, it's pretty standard Range Rover fare. Spacious, practical, easy to use, and reasonably nice to look at. The technology is good too, with a funky dual view screen that lets the passenger watch TV while the driver uses the sat-nav, plus wireless headphones all round. But for the SVR, you also get 4 individual sports seats and the obligatory SVR badge to remind you what you're sitting in. It even has a top stereo, not that any of those luxuries really matter. With the SVR, the driving experience is king.
Special shout out has got to go to the 8-speed gearbox. It seems to be in the right gear all the time, even in auto mode, which is crazy because it's got 8 gears to choose from. It's got a fancy corner recognition system, which basically checks for your steering angle and the way the vehicle is being driven in order to predict whether you're in a corner or not. If it thinks you're in a corner, then it won't change up, so it won't give you any nasty surprises.
It's smart enough to recognize when you need to stay in a lower gear, such as when you're about to overtake in order to give you better acceleration. Meanwhile, adaptive shift technology monitors your aggression in terms of brake inputs, cornering forces, kickdown requests, and even the type of hills you're on to choose between 25 predetermined programs to give you the best possible gear selection.
If you want to take matters into your own hands, cool. Chuck it into sport mode, chuck it into dynamic handling mode, and use the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. And again, it'll give you exactly the gear you want. I don't think I've ever been in this car and asked for a gear and it hasn't given it to me. When you think of Range Rovers, you think these cars were born to go off-road, but this thing just feels like it was designed to kill Porsches all day long.
The Range Rover Sport is one of those cars that shouldn't work. It shouldn't even exist. It fills that one last niche that Land Rover never previously catered for. Raving lunatics with shed loads of cash and a death wish can now die happy. But even the rest of us who don't have the cash can still walk away with a smile, beaming at the fact that deep within the recesses of Land Rover HQ, there are a group of maverick maniacs that are willing to say, logic, let's make something amazing. Let's make an SVR.